debt, 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 debt. Debt, 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 debt. It's like this horrible song that no one wants to sing. We got it in our head. It's part of our consumerism. And what we've been taught is that all debt is bad. But today, I want to challenge that. And I want to ask, okay, I get it. There's bad debts out there. There's consumer debts. But are there good debts? All right, my friends, we are doing Financial Education 101, and we're here to talk about that big, hairy, scary word, debt. Debt, depending on how you are raised, there's a good chance that you were raised in a home that said debt is bad. And there is so much truth to that, but that is not the entire truth. Let's talk for just a moment about what bad debts are, right? We have parents that are teaching their kids and they want them to be wise, but the reality is we're being taught by consumers, not professional business people usually, and not professional investors. And so what a good, well-intentioned parent's gonna do is they're gonna tell their kids, a car is a debt, and when you buy a car on loan, then you're gonna have to pay that back. And by the way, your car's gonna go down in value. It's not an asset. It depreciates in value. You have this obligation and you might sign up for a 5 or a 6 year obligation every month, shelling out hundreds of dollars so you can pay that. What makes that a bad debt, accurately stated, is because it costs money. You lose money every month. You need to make more money and service that debt, and the payoff that you get is having a car. But what we'll do then is we'll say, well, I got my car, and I need a boat, and you might even say, I need a house. This is gonna sound crazy, but you're like, whoa, Kris, you can't call a house a bad debt, that's an asset. Your house is an asset, and it's a bad debt. Why? Because it costs you money. Look at the lifestyle you've built for yourself. Your car costs money, your house costs money, your cell phone bill costs money. If you continue making choices to increase your revolving debt and your credit debt, then it's like, well, I also have 10,000 on credit cards, I've got my student loan debts, and at the end of the day, I'm piling up things that cost me money. Sometimes we say debt that's bad, we almost look at it and we associate bad with wrong, which is also not necessarily true. But what I want to do is I want to share with you a good debt. I know some of you are like, whoa, Kris, this doesn't make sense. What do you mean good debt? Debt by its nature, that 4-letter word, it's bad. And so if you have it, it's bad. Let me share with you a different kind of debt. If I buy a house for $100,000 and it's worth $120,000, so I buy it with some equity in it, is this good or is it bad? Well, if I bought it and I do nothing with it and it costs me, then I'm gonna put it into my bad debt pile. But if I rent it out and on a lease option, for example, with my compassionate financing system, you can get my book for free, by the way. I'll teach you this whole thing. It's just up here in the top left corner. If you buy the house and you do a lease option, let's say you're making $400 a month on it after you've serviced the $800 bill. So let's just say it's a $1,200 to rent it out. I have an $800 mortgage. Well, I'm servicing with this investment my mortgage, and there's $400 left over. And all of a sudden it goes from being a bad debt and it turns into a good debt. Why is that? Because by having this asset in my life, I'm $400 more a month better off. By having my personal house in my life under the same $1,200 a month mortgage, I'm $1,200 worse off every month for having it. Both are assets, but one makes me money and one costs me money. And so just pause for a moment. And you got to create a balance sheet in life where your good debts are actually bigger than your what? Than your bad debts. Most of us, we just have bad debt. I've got debts that cost me money. And then we can feel trapped in our job. And this is where we start striving and wanting this thing we call financial freedom, because we're enslaved, we're in bondage to choices of the past. And to be responsible with those choices means, how do I service my car? How do I service my house? How do I service my credit card debt? How do I service my student loan debt? How? And if you don't have a plan for that, then really what you're doing every day by going to work is just trying to make a bunch of money to pay for a bunch of past choices that depreciate in value and sink you deeper and deeper. Let's talk about gray area debt. Let's talk about student loan debt. If I want to go to school and get a college degree, is this a good debt or a bad debt? Friends, if you go to college and you get a degree and it helps you earn on average twice as much as just someone with a high school degree, then that schooling investment, if can actually make you money, and if the increased income is used to pay that debt off, then it can be a good debt. And this is the question that you really need to start asking yourself. Is this financial choice of leverage, or is this loan gonna make me money, or is it gonna cost me money? And this is what's going to eliminate the gray area, and it's going to help you know good debt, bad debt. Right now, I just spent 6 figures on a mentoring program with Tony Robbins. Went to this amazing Tony Robbins event. It's one of his highest level events, and he has a very limited number of people that can come into his really expensive mentoring program and basically travel the world with him, tour with him, and learn from him and grow from him. That was a big expenditure. And the question is it good or is it bad? Well, what makes it a good debt is because the time I've already spent with him has put my business on a different trajectory, and it's teaching me how to be a better businessman. It's also teaching me how to clean up my psyche and bring it to a new level. That's all making me money. So I classify that as a good debt. And so you just got to make sure you're not justifying choices and actions, but you really got to ask, is the choice I'm making going to make me money or is it going to cost me money? And if it's going to make you money, it's likely going to be a good debt. If it's going to cost you money, it's likely going to be a bad debt. Let me give you another example. Some of you here are subscribers, right? Subscribe, ring that bell, get my daily videos. And some of you might say, well, you know, Kris, I've been learning so much from you about real estate. You know what I want to do? I actually want to get with you live. I want to go to one of your events and I want to learn from you. And maybe I'll spend $1,000 or $2,000 to learn from you on how to do your best real estate strategies from A to Z. Give me the contracts, the flyers, the paperwork. You could actually put that on a credit card, for example, like a Visa. And whatever credit card you have, you go a couple $1,000s in debt. And now it's time for the magic question. Whether it was a good choice or a bad choice comes down to, financially speaking, is it going to make you money or is it going to cost you money? If that is a part of your education and it helps you do one deal, let's say you even have a house, you take my lease option system instead of just being a landlord. If you own real estate and you're a landlord, please take the lease option course. Let me give you my contracts. And all of a sudden, you collect a $5,000 down payment by putting a family in that home, and you're collecting $200 more a month than you would on normal rent. Add that up over 12 months, and that's going to come down to putting an extra $10,000, maybe $7,000, $8,000 in your pocket. Would you pay $1,000 for $7,000? I do that trade all day long. So even though you went into debt, if you use the gains to eliminate that debt, then all of a sudden your credit card becomes a what? It becomes a tool. Every month, I pile thousands of dollars into an insurance policy. And it's a special type of policy where I can pull the money out, I can use it, I can invest it, and then I pay it back. I'm basically borrowing my own money from myself while it's earning gains and it's got protection. Well, I'm putting money in there, I'm putting it towards an obligation that I can borrow, use, and leverage. If I'm using it for something that will make me money, is that a good debt or a bad debt? It's good. So this is the big question that I want to leave you with today is, as you're building your life, one of the things that you want to strive for, eliminate your bad debts. The other thing you need to strive for, create good debts. Kris, are you telling me that you want me to create good debts? Well, understand that when we buy real estate, unless you're waiting to buy it all paid off, what we're not trying to do is sign up for a 30-year mortgage and pay it off. We're not even trying to pay it off. What we're doing is we're controlling the asset. Control it for 4 or 5 years, make $40,000, $50,000, maybe $100,000. We sell off the asset, the loan is gone. What's left over is a pile of profits that you've made along the way. Friends, this is ultimately how people get ahead in life, is they learn the difference between good and bad debt, and then they make choices in alignment with that. And one of the things that I love about real estate is that when you buy the best real estate and you do it the right way, then you are in fact usually acquiring a good debt, and it's making you money, and then in time you're going to retire that debt and you're going to be left better off. This is the investor mindset. That's the consumer mindset. And so what I hope you gain from today's video, and what I'd love for you to do, is comment below and share in your life, what decisions have you made that you classify as bad debts and why? And what good debts do you have and why? And here's the goal. Every year you need a goal to be adding to this balance sheet the number of good debts that are making you money. Because the more of them you have, the more successful you are, the better you're at. And you get to a point where you can wipe out all that debt, be way ahead of the game, and still have your residual income. Friends, create good debt and cancel out the bad debt. Take home message: eliminate the bad debt, get as much good debt as you possibly can, and your world's gonna get rocking. If you wanna know how to get into the good stuff, the good debt that is gonna produce residual income, cash flow, equity growth, and really get you where you wanna go in life, click the link and me and my team can share with you exactly what that looks like. Otherwise, get live with me at one of my events where I can share with you the mindset of the millionaire, because this good debt, bad debt, it really comes down to the real estate between your 2 ears, and there's a lot more where that came from. So click the link, find out more, subscribe, ring the bell, and we'll see you tomorrow.